Yay, yay, yay. Here we are at episode 100. Actually, Apple Podcast says it's 101 because they include the trailer, the very first 3-minute clip I did introducing Mom to Mom Mentoring 2 years ago. Whether it's 100 or 101, it is an epic milestone. And if you've been around this podcast for any amount of time, you know I love to celebrate. So I am super excited to celebrate episode 100 with one of my favorite people, Craig Hughes, my handsome hubby. Y'all have heard me talk about Craig before, and he's here in the studio with me today. Craig, welcome to Mom Mentoring.
Well, thank you, Misty. It only took me 100 episodes to get on this.
Yeah, but you are the very first man that I have had the privilege of talking to here on Mom Mentoring. And I know all the ladies that are listening are going to lean in for your sage wisdom on what you're going to share today.
I'm saying that a little bit humorous because I would probably like to do anything less than to be on the podcast right now.
It did take a little convincing, didn't it? I can't think of anybody I'd rather have on than you, because you've seen this grow from an idea to a reality. And, only like 4% of podcasts make it to 100 episodes.
I know that. And I also know that I'd love to just congratulate you because I've seen the effort you've put into this. And sometimes it's been hard. We travel a lot, and I know that interrupts the flow of being able to get the podcast out, but you've done it remarkably well over the past 2 years. And it's all boils down because of your care and concern and love for women and where they're at in life and the challenges they have. And you want to be there walking with them. And this podcast is just one of the ways you're able to do that. And I admire that. I admire that you stuck with it.
Well, thank you. You're going to make me cry before we even get started. And I think one of the beautiful things I've appreciated about you so much in our journey together is you've not only created space for me to live that out, but that you have cared about the people I care about. Women that I've mentored and walked with for years and years have grown to love and adore you and come to you sometimes for counsel before they come to me. Craig and I have been married for 6 years, for those of you who don't know, and we're celebrating our anniversary.
6 years Saturday.
Ooh, gosh, it's just all kinds of wonderful things. But what we're talking about today has been something that we have explored together, trying to understand what it means, what it looks like, how we do it in our marriage. This is not a podcast about what the perfect marriage looks like.
I hope not.
This is about real life. We're not even going to tell you how to do something, beloved one. We're going to just share our process, and hopefully in the midst of us sharing, you might glean some wisdom and understanding about your own journey. So, are we ready to dive in?
Let's give it a shot.
Today we are going to have a conversation about connection and how two people who are pretty different stay connected, what connection is, why connection's important. And this is something, when would you say we first started our whole connection journey or trying to understand connection?
Well, I think we talked about it even before we got married, when we went through the premarital assessment, and it revealed some things, at least to me, some things that I really didn't know about myself. It really played into how I connected with others, and especially with you. So I think it began even before we got married, but it really picked up the first book we did. We study books together, or used to. And one of them was Hold Me Tight by Dr. Sue Johnson. And it was pretty heavy stuff, but it was all about connection, disconnection, emotional-based therapy.
Premarital coaching that we went through was called SYMBIS, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And we're actually now facilitators for that. We've facilitated other couples that are considering marriage in their journey, this premarital assessment. And then the book was actually recommended by
That's right.
our
Facilitators.
coach. We picked it up and it talked about the buzzword. I don't know if it's the buzzword today, but the buzzword used to be communication. And I loved what this book said because it said that deeper than communication was this idea of connection. And if a couple is not connected, then basically all the talk in the world is oftentimes not going to get them anywhere. But I think connection doesn't start with me trying to connect with you. It's like you said, that SYMBIS assessment told you some things about yourself. So you were in this new place of even connecting with your own self.
Right.
So today we're talking all about connection. Now, I want you all to understand that Craig and I come from two different worlds. What is it? Men are from Mars and women are from Jupiter or something like that. I think that's pretty much true in our marriage because just a few of the differences between Craig and I am a dreamer.
And I am realistic.
I see the world through rose-colored glasses with sparkles and shine and all the good things.
And I see the world through spreadsheets.
This is true. I'm a verbal processor. I have to get everything out in order to understand what I'm trying to say.
And I have to take everything away and contemplate it and dwell on it and tear it apart before I can put it back together and then try to express what I want to say.
I am someone who loves to live out loud, and I share a lot of my life journey with other women.
And I am much more reticent, quiet, surround myself with just a few close guys. I just had a thought, and you know how music is so important to me. And it seems like Neil Diamond has gotten big again, and he has a song, Play Me. It kind of describes us. I am the sun, you are the moon. I am the words, you are the tune. There's other lines in there too. But that's us. The beautiful thing about that is that none of that's bad. And each of those words complement each other. And I think that's what we do with each other because of our differences.
Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. We have a lot of differences. I'm sure you're going to hear more as we continue our conversation. But we have learned a lot about ourselves and each other and what it looks like to create a marriage that is not just life-giving for one of us, but life-giving for both of us.
And I would also add, maybe even life-giving for others. And that's one of our aspirations, is to be, we'll never be the perfect example, but we really do work hard at this, and we want to encourage others to do the same because they see us working at it too, especially our kids.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what's so cool is that we're older. It would be so easy to say, this is just the way I am. I think that we both approach life with a sense of adaptability and a growth mindset that God is always making us better.
Absolutely. That's why he put us together.
So, how would you define connection This can be any marriage. If someone said, well, Craig, define what you mean by connection, what would you say?
I believe that connection within a marriage is real, and I'm sure we'll get more into this later, but it's really rooted in a mutual respect for one another, and even to the point of assuming the best in one another. And I think that's especially true for men. Men need that respect, and when they feel it, they feel connected. But I think the women do too. I think you want to be heard, you want to be honored, you want to be known. And that's a form of respect. All those are.
So I grew up with that book, Love and Respect, and you know how I feel about that
Yeah,
now.
I do know. Yeah.
It's not my favorite book anymore, so I do not recommend it. It says men want respect, and I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one thing I have discovered in our marriage, I want respect as well, and that comes about in being heard and seen. When would you say that you feel most connected to me on a regular day, not like when we're on amazing adventure in Italy or climbing the high hills in Spain, but on a normal day, what does connection for you and I look like?
It's really just the little things, the touches as I walk by, or the smile, or the thank you for making the bed, or oh, can I get you some lunch? It really gets down to showing respect for one another. It may even be a question. You come out of your office, hey, how's your day going? It looks mundane, but some of the mundane acts and words speak a lot.
We have this morning ritual. You're smiling, right? And it's a place that you really feel connected.
Yeah, I do. Usually I'm up before her. Then I'll go in, wake her up. I'll bring her a cup of coffee, and then we separate. She stays in the bedroom. I'm in the living room. There's a wall between us, but we both have our quiet time. And I told her one day, I feel so connected. We're not together, but I feel so connected to you because I know we're both doing the same thing at the same time. And that just really makes me feel close to you. And she was, well, I don't feel connected to you at all during that time, which shocked me.
I think that's a really perfect visual and example of understanding what connection looks like for a husband and a wife. Because for me, it's a very important time. And I think it's very sweet that you feel connected to me. But for me, connection would involve a conversation about what the Lord was speaking to us during that time. Take me on the journey. Let me know the things that God is revealing to your heart. How do you know we're connected? What does that look like to you? And then I'll share what it looks like to me.
For me, it really gets down to respect, feeling respected by you, feeling accepted by you. And because of that book, and you know this, I think, I realized just about any disagreement or any disconnection we had, if I drilled down deep enough, a deep, deep fear of not being appreciated, not being respected. And when I even feel a twinge of that, that's when I start to feel disconnected.
That makes so much sense. The challenge is recognizing the twinge and addressing the twinge instead of it blowing up.
But that's the hard part.
I know.
We miss it.
Yeah.
But the good point of it all is we're getting better. I think we both recognize, oh, this goes down to that core fear I have about not feeling respected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what was it that was said that made me feel that way? And once you get to that point, it starts getting easier to dig your way out of that rut you're in
Mm-hmm.
and that hole. And then you can start respecting each other again and get reconnected and talk about it.
You have to talk about it, but it gives you language.
It gives you language, exactly.
You talked about your core fear and my core fear. I feel like I have so many core fears, but I think at the root of them all is a fear of abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
I go into this self protection. I'll do it myself. I close myself off. Just recognizing the core fears have been helpful.
Not just in ourselves, but when I recognize, when I'm questioning what did I say? What did I do that made her withdraw so quickly? I can start, I know her core fear is abandonment. And I can usually drill down deep enough to say, no wonder she felt that way. And that helps me to start reconnecting.
What has been something that you've learned to do differently when you start to feel disrespected and therefore disconnected?
The first thing is just what we've been talking about, is recognizing why you are feeling disconnected, how that connects to your own core fear. But the other thing I've recognized too, I have these emotions. I'm lousy at naming emotions, but I know they're there. And I know that if I'm able to identify them and name them and even sit with them for a while and get it out of my system and then just turn it over to God and let go of it. For me, that's been one of the most powerful things to do. We even use an emotional wheel sometimes to help us do that. It has helped me tremendously to do that.
I want to put a plug in. I have a free resource that includes that emotional wheel, but it's called Notice, Name, Feel, and Free Your Emotions. And that's just what you're talking about.
Exactly.
But first you have to notice it, and you have to give language to it. What is it? What naming it? You have to allow yourself to feel it and then free it. There's a study that says an emotion can pass through us in 90 seconds. Not storing it up or putting it on a shelf or letting it become toxic. And wouldn't that be cool if we had such awareness? Back to the question I asked you, one thing that I think I am aware of, and I think I'm still learning to do, it's a little bit different than you, but for me, it is about addressing it in real time. Because I feel like if I can deal with it in real time, it doesn't
get traction.
Yeah. Because it's a slippery slope. How can you tell that you're drifting in that place of connection?
Usually it's not a drifting, it's a jumping off the board into the pool of disconnection. And it's usually, that's the scary part for me. We can be so connected, and one word from you or one word from me or one action or something, and just like that, I drift into this deep hole where I'm feeling, why would you say that to me? Or I didn't mean anything by that when I told her that. I was just joking. And all of a sudden, we're both afraid to say anything.
I think the thing is as you start to drift away, that touches my deepest fear, which is abandonment. I feel that chasm of abandonment, aloneness, and I become self-protecting and I go down my own slippery slope. But here's the thing. So I want to back up a minute because you said it's like diving off of a board. The disconnect does not start when you dive off the cliff. The disconnect started way back here somewhere. And it's recognizing those places and honoring them. How do you recognize those beginnings and what do you do with them?
What scares me is when you'll say something and all of a sudden I'm in this funk, just like that. And you are too. And then it's hard to get out of it. All of a sudden I feel like I've dived into this disconnection. But you're right, it really has its source maybe a day, 2 days, maybe a week or two. And it takes me a while to recognize that. It feels in the moment, it feels like it's something happened. But when I really start pulling away and start thinking about it, I can go back to usually a certain instance or something that's been in the back of my mind and probably has come forward at the wrong time and sent me into this disconnection that seems like it's immediate, but it really happened at least several days before.
I think that happens with me a lot. It's not the big disconnect thing, it's those small things that have led up to it that I think I'm working through, that maybe I haven't given space to processing it or addressing it with you. Some of it's just for me to work out. But then there are those things that it's like, oh no, I need to just be able to say this without being judged, him validating, and we can move on. I want to be heard. And I've never had what I would call a safe place to practice that in.
So you're right, Misty, that even though it seems like all of a sudden one word has sent me into this disconnection, when I really think about it, I can go back and maybe identify something that was said or done or something from several days ago. And I've tucked it away in the back of my mind. I probably didn't want to talk about it at the time. Maybe I didn't even feel safe to talk about it at the time. And when I do that, it starts building up a resentment within me because I want to share my feelings, but I don't feel it's safe. And that resentment starts to grow. And then the next time something's said, bam, I'm disconnected. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Which leads me to, we both talked about it, but the value of feeling safe in order to feel connected.
That's big. And that's what disconnection does. It makes you feel unsafe in a place where you need to feel safe to be able to get out of it.
Yeah. So, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Does the lack of safety come and then that causes the disconnect, or does the disconnect cause the lack of safety?
Good question. Both. I think it can be both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have acknowledged that connection is vital for a healthy marriage. We have talked about what connection looks like, what it feels like, how we know we're disconnected, but now we're in this place of safety. And if there's been a disconnect and you have to feel safe to reconnect, how do you come to a safe place so that you can reconnect?
I'm not sure this is answering your question, but something that am trying to learn about myself is when I'm feeling unsafe, but I still have these feelings I want to share and talk about, but I don't feel safe sharing them. I'm trying to adopt the mindset that's good because you're feeling right now with such strong emotions that no matter what you say, it's going to come across way too strong. So this is an opportunity to let those feelings, to sit with them, to own them, to experience them, and to give them to God. And then you can probably be in a much safer place to talk about them.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that takes a lot of spiritual and emotional intelligence and maturity. Because as I was asking the question, I was asking the question to myself too. And for me, when I get in those places, and Craig and I will say this to each other, I don't feel safe with you right now. And we actually communicate that to each other. That's a sad place to be, but it's the reality. I mean, we're two broken people. And we, as I said, we're, seasoned. And so we're not coming into marriage at the age of 20, and we're trying to learn each other and trust each other. For me, the passage that always comes to mind, and I feel like the Lord is always reminding me, is his name is a high tower, and the righteous run into it and are safe. And so, in our little quiet times in the morning, that's where I picture myself often, is just in Christ Jesus. And he is my safe place. And when I am in him and surrounded by him and recognizing that he's my safe place, then I can come to you, because it's not about Craig having to be safe for me. That's another huge demand I can place on you. You have to be a safe place, or else I can't
Yeah.
be connected
Yeah.
to you. And that's not what God's asking. God's asking that he be my safe place,
Mm-hmm.
and that I honor and respect you from that place of abiding in him. And so that's something that I have learned and try to practice, but it's not easy. Okay. We had this talk when we went on a walk in Florida about what connection actually looks like. I love the day to day things that you're talking about, but I would say for me, that's not what connection looks like or feels like.
Yeah, that was a huge revelation for me because I think we had just come off a period where we had been disconnected and we worked through it. I was feeling reconnected, and I think I told you, I'm feeling connected to you. And I really was. But I was shocked when you said, well, I'm not. And it showed me that you have a different level, a much higher level of need for connection than I do.
I think connection to is represented by curiosity. When you are curious and conversational, that tells me, oh, he feels connected to me because he's having conversation with me, and I feel connected to him. When we're sharing with one another and it can be something we don't even agree on,
Right.
those are times that tell me that we're connected. And I think, especially if it's something that we might not agree on, and we are able to have this amazing
Yeah.
conversation.
I was going to say that is almost the highest level of connection because you're showing that mutual respect for each other and their differing opinions or outlooks or viewpoints.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Hughes, I always like to leave these episodes with one thing, because these are busy ladies that are managing all the to-dos and trying to love their husbands well in the midst of life. And so, if there's one thing that you would love to say to these beautiful women that are leaning in and listening today, what would that one thing that you would want them to remember be?
Thanks for listening. I think in the world of connection and disconnection, mutual respect plays a vital role. But going hand in hand with that is respect yourself. And by that I mean look deep within yourself and try to figure out why you feel disconnected, what it was, what's that core fear. And once you identify that, then start building up from that to reach that point of connection again.
It's good. Those core fears are big. Hey, it has been fun hanging out with you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how connected do you feel to me?
15.
Good answer.
Can I ask you the same thing?
Yeah, yes.
6.
Yeah, it's getting up there. This audio set up for both of us to be able to sit in the same room and record has been a learning curve for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent a number of hours ordering the right equipment so that we could both record from the same room. And then today, all the connections. And I was thinking while I was trying to figure it out and talking to chat and this not working and that not working, I was thinking about what we're talking about, like the idea of connections. And I think, you know, what's important is you just keep trying. You
Mhm.
get the help you need. Like I had to get the help I needed from chat today, but you get the help you need, whether it's a counselor or a coach. Keep in it and keep trying because the connection will happen and you'll be able to do what God's created you to do. Hang in there
Yeah.
and don't give up.
Yeah.
So that's my,
No, that's beautiful. I totally second that.
yeah. So anyway, so thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging with me.
I feel honored to be able to be on your 100th podcast. And that is remarkable. And that alone makes me feel connected to you.
Thanks. Me too. So, beloved, remember, when you shine, you give others permission to shine too. And the world will be a much brighter place if we're all shining the way that God has created us to shine. So do what you need to do to polish your shine and be the light that you're created to be. I'm Misty Hughes. This is episode 100 of Mom to Mom Mentoring. We'll see you next week.